topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Los Angeles. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring some of the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I have got a special treat for you today. Now, our next expert, she's been with us for a while, but I have interviewed presidents, I've interviewed vice presidents, I've interviewed congressmen and senators. I've emailed a lot of Hollywood stars. I have never, ever interviewed a author, and we have. Let me introduce you. She's with Zoom Business Brokers, Sarah Vazari. Hi, Sarah.
Thank you.
You're an author now.
I know, it's exciting. I turned to an author officially today.
Today's hot off the press. The name of the book is The Ultimate Guide to Prepare Your Business for an Ideal Sale. What, you couldn't find a better title.
I know. It was a long time that I wanted to do this because, a lot of time, especially these days, more and more, whenever somebody calls me about selling their business, we got to the situations that it's late, and it kills you that why now? Why didn't you do it 5 years ago? And you had a great business, and now it's kind of like a dead body and you're trying to save the last pieces. Why? The way that our economy works, a lot of times there are people who build businesses from zero. They bring it to a level, but after that is not something that you can easily do. So it's really important that from that stage, other companies come and get these from here, bring it to here. And now it's time for those companies that become public and large. So it's something that happens, naturally. And a lot of those big businesses are built by acquisitions that you made and put all of these small ones together to get there. But if you do not do it in time, now all of these 30 years, 40 years, 2 generations, 3 generations, they all goes down. So it's really important that you plan correctly, the same way that you plan for building your business and get it from here to here. You need to plan for this last stage, or otherwise, not only you don't get enough for yourself, but you are not letting our next generation, our society, to use all of these hard work. Why? That's why I tried to find a solution, and I wrote this book, and I hope more and more business owners read the book. So before they get to that point, they start planning for what they have ahead of them. Because, a lot of times when I talk to the owners, because they are so busy with day-to-day works, that putting their energy on something that needs planning for 5 years from now, it's really hard. They can't find time to even talk to an advisor, bring them in, give them chance to review everything. So this book at least is it started on their own time. They can review everything that they need to do to have a sellable business. So when the time comes, at least I can tell them, okay, you have a great business, we can sell it, instead of saying, oh, it's late and now we don't have time to solve all of those problems.
Sarah, I've got to tell you something. I'm here in South Florida. I do a restaurant show on Monday nights. And so I really keep up with restaurants. I am so surprised that restaurants who built a big name are hurting and going out of business rather than why. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's something that happens overnight. It's something that's been going wrong for a matter of time. Why don't they try to sell their business instead of just losing everything, all the work they put into it?
Yeah, it's so restaurant is not actually my specialty, so I don't have that much insight. However, there are other brokers in our company that have been selling restaurants for 20, 25 years, and that's the way that I know. But this restaurants are a little more dependent on what is going on the outside world. But like in the field that is more my specialty, like manufacturing businesses, a lot of time there are trends that you can manage, and you need to think about it and plan ahead before you want to get to the point that you want to sell. For example, 3 years ago, a company came to us. We did a thorough valuation, and we found out that like 60% of their sale is coming from one customer, and they didn't have any long-term agreement with that customer. So guess what? Something like that can make your business not even sellable, because every customer would be afraid that what if I lose that customer? So
Yeah.
they started planning from that time, and now that we are talking, their sale is not dependent on only one big customer. They have made new customers that now that one customer is much less than that. So we don't have that. But if you come to me at a time that you don't have that 3 years ahead of you, then there isn't anything we can do, because who buys a company that 60% of the sale is coming from one customer that you don't even have a long-term agreement, So
They
this
have all their eggs in one basket, don't they?
long-term planning. Exactly.
So let's get back to the book. First of all, how long did it take you to write it?
I have been so from the time that I have been selling businesses, I always were putting these pieces together. But the actual writing, it was a couple of months ago that I started writing everything and going through it. Yeah, it was just a few months ago.
So now you're going back and taking everything that you wrote down and you put it into a book. I really, it wasn't just restaurants I was talking about before. I mean, it's any kind of business. You hear even manufacturing companies. I'll go, why did they wait so long? Now they're gone out of business. Didn't they try to at least try to sell it?
So there are different reasons behind that. One of them is the emotional connection,
Ah,
especially for entrepreneurs, because they, in order to be able to overcome all of these problems that you get to when you want to build a business, you need to have a very hard focus, and you need to put a lot of times everything that you have into building that business. So after doing this for 30 years, 40 years, that's a big portion of whoever you are. That's why disconnecting from that is a very, very hard emotional decision, other than anything else, other than the financial aspect, other than this is who you are in the community. Everybody comes to you because you are that business. So separating yourself from that business is not really easy for a lot of people. That's why in one of the chapters, I gathered some of the strategies and things that owners can use to get themselves ready for that transition. We have seen, like, we had a very, very successful manufacturing business, and we found a buyer. We went even to the end of the process, but he couldn't finish the deal because mindset, he was not ready. He didn't know what to do after that.
It was his
And then
baby.
guess what 3 years after that, he came back, and at that time business had gone down. So at the end, we sold the business, but it was 1/3 of what we could sell 3 years
Right.
ago. And
It's like
just imagine,
it's like their baby. It's their,
it's exactly like
they've
their baby.
nurtured it and they've done everything.
I,
And
I have experienced that firsthand because my father and my mother also are entrepreneurs. They have their own companies, and we always said that that company is like my sister. So
right.
sometimes I tell them that you even love her more than how much you love me. So that that's a reality. I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's all their life. It's not easy to just let it go.
Sarah, I tell you what you do, I am so amazed about, because you're in the business of selling businesses. And people don't realize all you have to do before you realize your first dime, all the work you have to do.
Yes. Sometimes it takes a year from the time that we start working until the time that any money comes in.
How do
That's
you
the
deal
reality.
how do you deal with your clients being impatient, calling you up all the time? Anything going on when they would be the first one you would call.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, if you have experience buying and selling a house, for example, you know that how much stressful it is. I'll always tell my friends or family that the thing that I do is much worse than that. And all of the people involved bring all of that stress to me, and they look me to calm them. It's like that every month I'm selling 1 or 2 big houses, much more than that. And every time it's a lot of stress for all of the people involved, because it's one of the most important decisions they make in their lives, and if it
Right.
doesn't go through, they can lose a big portion of what they have a lot of times. So it's really important and a hard decision for both sides, sellers and buyers. Like, I'm dealing with a very young couple who are putting all they have in line to get into a business. So just imagine how hard it is for them, because they can either go up or they can completely go down. But I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. You have to be brave and make these kind of decisions in order to be able to make those changes in your life.
I tell you what you do. I think the number one thing you do versus maybe someone trying to sell their business themselves is the due diligence that you do. You can outdo any owner when it comes to due diligence. So when you do have someone to bring to them, you have done so much legwork and background check.
So I couldn't say that this is very accurate statement, because it's correct that because of our experience, we have a good understanding of who can be a serious buyer versus who is a tire kicker. Or for these larger businesses, we know what kind of equity firm is a serious, experienced one versus something that just established and they want to do their first deal. but the actual due diligence we never do to that kind of due diligence, not for the buyer, not for the seller's side. We guide them to do their own due diligence, and we
Oh,
bring resources they can use. Sometimes if they want a referral to somebody who does due diligence, we know a lot of people in the industry who does that, so we introduce them to a couple of them. They can talk, and because we have seen these people in action before, then at least we can give them good referrals. But a broker is always in between. They never get signed by anyone. They never get to verify those information to do the actual due diligence for any side, either buyer or the seller.
so when I had a business broker, they brought me, and it was over a year, just like you said. But
Yeah.
the people they brought had the finances to buy a business. They never brought me anybody that was, just a tire kicker. They really brought me solid leads.
Yes. And we do all of these arrangements based on the size of the business. We know if this business can get a SBA loan. And we have a lot of, like, every time we go to one of the IBBA or CAP conferences, a lot of lenders show up there. They do educational courses for us. So we get a lot of insight about these processes. And that's why when we have a new listing, usually we check with these SBA lenders that we are in touch with to get an understanding of how much is possible to get that kind of financing. And if that is not a solution, then we come up with other ideas, because we always figure out what kind of buyer would be the best buyer for our listing and what kind of terms could work. You can buy a Mercedes at $1 a day if they agree that you paid until the end of your life, something. So the
Right.
terms is really important, and it's not only the price. That was, we put the price and terms with the best practices and make the best scenario that gives the sellers the best chance to sell their business based on our knowledge and understanding of the type of buyer that fits this type of business.
I just said before that your business is like your child. You've nurtured it. And so, how do you work with a client that when it's yours, you think it's worth a lot more money than it is? How do you bring some commonality to them that what their business is really worth, or buying a
So
business what it's worth?
I usually don't get to that kind of problem, maybe because I'm an engineer. Okay, for me everything is just comes from calculations. That is why when in the first step we do evaluation on the business, I usually have a lot of reasoning behind what I suggest them as the most probable selling price for their business. I completely give them reasons that these are the reasons that I think your business would sell at this price. So it's not like that I say, okay, this is the price, and then they say, no, I want it this way.
Yeah,
And in rare cases that seller doesn't accept it, or they have expectations that is far, far away from that reality, I usually do not work with them, because I don't want to waste my time and their time.
right.
So I tell them, okay, you can go and work with whoever you want. And usually what happens is that after 1 year they come back and say, oh, my business didn't sell, can you please help us now? And now they are okay with my number, because they have experienced that extra number. Nobody pays extra money for something just because you love it. It all comes from what market has. And after a while, when you put a business in the market with the feedbacks that you get from the market, you understand whether it sells or not. It's not something that you say, okay, I put it at this price and suddenly I get lucky and all of those stuff. It doesn't make sense to waste our energy. And sometimes the sellers think that, okay, you don't sell it, I go out and sell it myself. Okay, you can try it, but it's usually we get it back with a worse situation because something has gone wrong and now they need help.
Are things harder now than they were, say, 5 or 10 years ago with the way the economy is?
Believe it or not, I don't think that's the case because our market has always been, and even right now, is a seller's market. We don't have that many good businesses, compared to the number of good buyers that we have. So it's still, whenever you have a good business to sell, there is a good chance that you find a buyer. However, there are a lot of discussions about the high number of baby boomers
Yeah.
that have to sell their businesses in the next 2 decades. So I am not sure when all of those businesses come to the market, what happens, whether these, relationship between seller and buyer will change or not. But I just hope that we don't lose a lot of those businesses because the owners are not planning for selling them in time, because that will hurt our economy, in my opinion, because
Exactly.
those successful small businesses are valuable, and why losing them while we can get and have a very young passionate couple or one person come in and put everything they have into this business and get it to the next level. Or like I have a roofing company, multi-million dollar roofing company right now, that a private equity firm is has put offered or doing due diligence, and their plan is to buy multiple of these companies, putting them together and make a larger business. And then they make it, after adding all of the marketing systems that a small company cannot afford it, when you put all of them together and put all of these extra things together, then in a couple of years you can make it much larger businesses. And sometimes they end up being a public company, a very successful large company. So I think that it's really valuable if our small business owners plan um, soon enough, so their business also become a successful like that. And you can imagine how much you can be happy that you were the one who built such a great company, so you had a role in it.
Yes. Let's give people the name of your book again.
Yeah, it's the ultimate guide to prepare your business for an ideal sale.
How do they get your book, Sarah?
It's an Amazon. In all of the Amazon different marketplaces, they can find the book using the name and my name.
What a great name. We're running your phone number on our TV version, but for those who are listening on radio or the podcast, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Sure, it's 949-426-5067. And our business website is www.zoombusinessbrokers.com.
Well, you better have that book with you next month when you come on. And I think I wish you all the success. You've got so much knowledge, Sarah, and the way you explain things. If I had a business now and I wanted to sell it, I would definitely hire you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for your
And we'll
time. And
see. We love having you on. And, I urge people to get your book. Again, it's the ultimate guide to prepare your business for an ideal sale. We will see you again next month, Sarah.
thank you so much, and have a great week.
Thank you. Sarah's with Zoom. She is amazing. I hope you'll get her book, especially if you want to think about selling your business. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests. Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.